Hey guys, Jexie here. Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about manipulation. I got tagged in a Twitter thread regarding this topic, and I thought it would be worth discussing. Okay, so as some of you know who follow me on Twitter, I often get tagged in a lot of things. And I got tagged in a response that people made to a tweet by the Rewired Soul. Now, I'm not talking about the Rewired Soul in this video. I have no interest in talking about him. But he did make a comment that I thought would be worth discussing. So it was something along the lines of, if you're over 18 and you've been manipulated, part of that is your fault. Essentially implying that anybody who is an adult can't be manipulated without their consent, that there's no such thing as victims. Now, I am going to link a video in the description that was posted yesterday. I know I'm going to say this wrong. It's like Cringe Monster Productions or something. As I said, I'll link it below. Who gave two specific examples on why this is not the case. She talked about how abuse victims obviously are manipulated and that they're victims, it is not their fault. And she also said that those who are younger than 25, who are 18 but not 25 yet, don't have fully developed brains. So she took that route in talking about this topic, and I think it's a really great video to watch in regards to manipulation. However, I'm going to take a different route. And again, this is not about the Rewired Soul, so you don't have to worry about that. It's not drama. But I thought it would be good to talk about manipulation in a sense of how I used to use manipulation and why I don't think that it's fair to blame people who fell for it. As an addict in recovery, it's really important that I recognize my role in harm that I caused. And anybody who's been in active addiction for any length of time has most likely caused harm in one way or another. Manipulation is one way in which a lot of us have caused harm. I remember there was a period of time where, as you guys know, I'm going through a divorce now, but years before I got clean, my husband and I, my ex-husband, I know it gets confusing, we had been separated probably for about, I don't know, a few months. And we had court papers. It was like official. We were talking about getting a divorce at the time. So we were living as if we weren't getting back together, even though we did eventually get back together for a few years. So during that period of time, my active addiction was like in full swing. I was a mess and I was struggling really bad. And one of the things that I used to do is even though I didn't have a lot of money, we split custody of the kids. So on nights that I didn't have the kids, I started going to like Applebee's or a restaurant that had a bar in it. And I would go at like happy hour time. I would go at like 5 o'clock when a lot of like blue collar workers in the area would get off of work and they'd go to the bar and have like dinner and a beer or something, right? So I used to go and I originally used to go with just enough money for food and a drink, right? And I started making friends with some of the guys there. Now here I am, I was a late 20s, I guess, single girl, and, I'm generally friendly with people. And I would sit down at the bar and eat and, have my beer or whatever. And it very quickly became a place I like to go because I can get things without paying for anything. So as I met the same guys, the regulars who would go there forever, go there a few times a week, I would get text messages like, hey, you going to Applebee's tonight? And I would write back things like, oh, I'd love to, but I'm short on funds tonight. And I get the message back that I knew I was going to get, which is, oh, come out. I'll buy you dinner. I'll get you drinks, right? That's manipulation, knowing full well what that response would be. I could have just said, no, I can't tonight, but I didn't because I wanted to go. I used to talk a lot about guys I knew. A lot of them used to have like, prescriptions for Percocet, or they'd have friends that used or whatever, right? And I would make comments about how, I didn't have medical insurance and, I had some bad tooth pain or some whatever, right? To get them to give me things. Now, yes, they are adults. And yes, perhaps the reason that they were so willing to give me things was because they were wanting something in return, right? But the fact is that I still manipulated those results. it was still my responsibility for that manipulation. I was not being honest. I was not being forthcoming, and I was using my assets as a female to get my way. This was not done accidentally. This was purposeful. And I think by saying that if I tried to put blame, partially even, on them, saying, well, they're adults, they should know better. They shouldn't have fallen for it. They shouldn't have assumed this or that, right? Then what I'm doing is I'm taking the responsibility off myself. I'm taking away the work I have to do on myself by saying that, look, if they fell for my manipulation, that's their fault, right? Well, then I'm not taking responsibility for my bad actions. And I think that that would be my problem with this particular tweet, is that if we're saying that anybody who falls for manipulation as an adult, that it's their fault, then that's essentially saying that we have that we have less responsibility for our own bad behavior. And as somebody in recovery, we're taught that we're not supposed to look at other people's roles in things. We're supposed to look at our own. So when I look at a situation where I manipulated people, it is not my responsibility to figure out how much of that is theirs, how much they need to own, how much, of the blame that they hold. I'm supposed to look at it as if all of the blame is on me. I'm only supposed to recognize my own role in things and accept the mistakes I've made, make amends, grow as a person, and not behave that way again. So when somebody in recovery, and I'll just say, as I said, forget the rewired soul for a second, but if somebody who is newer in recovery said to me, well, they shouldn't have fell for my manipulation, it's partially their fault. My suggestion to that person would be, we're never going to grow as people if we don't take full responsibility for the things that we've done. We are not going to learn from anything if we can't recognize our role in how we harmed people. It is real easy to make excuses and come up with reasons why we're not fully responsible for some type of harm we caused. But by doing that, we're losing out on the benefits of recovery. Living a program of recovery means accepting our role and growing. So it always confuses me when I see somebody who is supposedly an advocate of recovery making statements that are really not in line with a recovery program. That is one of the reasons why I generally don't watch his content anymore. I think for myself, just my own opinion is that it's very clickbaity and it's purposefully and antagonistic. I think that because his view rate is gone down a lot and he loses subscribers very, very frequently, that he's looking to get a rise out of people. So, it's one of those things, you hear it all the time, negative attention is better than no attention, right? They teach you this with children, when disciplining children, that positive reinforcement tends to work best, because if the only attention that your child is getting from you is negative attention, then they're going to misbehave because they're going to want your attention, even if it is negative. So I try really hard in life, even when dealing with adults, that when somebody does something that makes me happy, that makes me feel good, that, whatever, that I recognize that. I do that in my relationship too. When my boyfriend does something that makes me feel good, that, shows that he cares, something, behavior I want repeated, right? It sounds silly, but I let him know, that made me really, really happy. That is how I express myself in a relationship. I don't sit and nitpick every single negative thing. Well, I don't like when you said this, or I don't like when you say that. If we respond to everything in the negative, right, we're not learning. We may get results in some sort of way, but we're not getting the full benefit. And I think that a lot of times that happens on social media too, when we're not getting views or we're not gaining subscribers. It's really easy to get stuck in this negative mindset. Well, if I make videos where I'm critical, I may get hate, but at least I'm getting views, right? And that's something I try to stick away from, only because for my own well-being, I think it's really important that we get what we put out into the world. And if I'm going to be putting out negativity all of the time, I have to expect that I'm going to get negativity in return. And that's not really who I am or what I'm about. So, anyway, that's my thought in regards to if you're fully responsible for manipulation. I think in order to grow as a person in recovery, I need to accept when I am at fault and not worry about whether I think the other person played any sort of role in it. That's on them. That's on them to decide. It is not my responsibility to tell somebody that they hold part of the blame. So let me know what you think. Do you guys think that if you're manipulated, that you're the victim? Do you think that it's fair to put blame on somebody else for falling for manipulation? Who's responsible? Tell me your thoughts down below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I have some exciting news. I don't know if I'm going to release it before or after this video, so I'm not going to mention it here. But I'm really excited. There'll be another video posted either right before this or right after, so I'll let you'll know by the time that happens. But yeah, like this video, and I hope to see you guys soon. Don't forget, Wednesday night trivia at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.